Hi everyone. This is Toni Weel from Florida. Cold, cold, cold Florida. It was just above freezing last night. Well, it's only for a few days, then it heats up again. That's typical Florida. We have with us today Gary Parent and Sara from Virtuous Unicorns. And I had big plans for a presentation today. I just was sidetracked by some stuff with a contractor that needed all my attention. So I do have an email that was on mailing list with a gentleman in the UK. And look him up. You can probably find it if you put in his name, even, I'm not sure if he is on Facebook. His name is Ariel Bellozo. And he has amazing recipe books, and he is all raw, and he believes in low fat, high fruit, and some greens, and he manages actually to make the most delicious recipes with it. We always like to say, why do you need a recipe if you're only eating fruit? But it, it is a thing, making meals, creating meals. I always love to do it. I kind of got away from it because, grabbing some fruit is just so much easier. Or just having the Master Cleanse, the lemon water stuff, which I started on again yesterday. And but yeah, I really wanted to get more information out, and I probably will make this presentation more information. It's not only about, how to transition to a healthy raw vegan diet, but how to stay on it. And this is where, most of the problems come in because we have all these yeah, plans on this is what we're going to do, and now we're going to do it, and we're usually doing it, but then staying on it, that's the key. And with when Gary told us that the correct breathing is 70% of your detox, 70% of your healing, I found that very, very profound. So, Gary, I would like you actually to start with the showing us again. And I know you've done it on pretty much all of the videos,
Yeah.
but explain exactly why you came up with that 70%. What is happening in your body? And it doesn't matter how long it takes, but we just want to have talk about this section, and then we go
All right.
into the transitioning part because I think more people need to hear that. And I feel that once you understand what something is doing in your body, and it's like, what exactly happens with that breathing, you are way more um yeah, it's easier for you to stick on the diet or the way of living once
Mhm.
you understand the importance in how it works. Because then you're more, I don't know, you're just more open to it. It's like you can tell people, oh, you have to do that. It's yeah, oh yeah, right. But they don't know why they need to do that. And I think, when we start out little kids, don't they always want to know why? Isn't that the first, probably almost the first
Mhm.
thing out of their mouth is why? So we do need to know the why. So go ahead, please.
Okay. So when it comes to breath, it's if we're breathing properly, it's 70% of our detox because we are moving the diaphragm. I can't find my tripod, so I must have left it someplace. Or I'd go outside and do this. So our diaphragm, when we breathe in through the nose, we create nitric oxide, which helps the heart relax and the arteries and veins relax. They're more pliable so that it's easier for them to pump blood through the system. If you have high blood pressure, the circulatory system is a closed system. So as you get inflammation in your body, the more you get, the higher your blood pressure goes because it's pressing on those uh, arteries and those veins. And it has to work harder, it has to pump harder, and it takes more pressure to push it through because the the artery is smaller. It gets smaller and smaller. It's kind of, the same thing happens with cholesterol. It narrows the tube that it's going through, because all we are is a bunch of tubes and gates and valves and sphincters, right? And we need to keep those tubes clean and pliable. And breath is the greatest way to do that, besides proper hydration, nutrition, and because of the oxygen from the breath. So when we breathe through the nose, we create a vortex that goes down into the diaphragm. And as the diaphragm drops, the heart relaxes, and it makes more room for the lungs to bring in more air. And we do a thing called the lion's breath, which helps build those toxins, pull those toxins out and get them out of your body. So that's a major part of the detox right there, is you're removing these toxins because they settle in the bottom of the lungs. And that's where most of your blood oxygen transfer takes place, is in the bottom of the lungs. So the deeper that diaphragm can drop down, it's also massaging all your organs and glands. So you're moving blood, you're moving lymph through the whole body just with your breath. So that's a major, major part of reducing high blood pressure. I've had people in class that have had high blood pressure. They do their breath work, they check their blood pressure, and it's actually gone down just from breathing, because you're moving all that. And the body, any stagnation in the body will start an inflammatory response. And it's not because you are injured, but it's not like it's an injury that you can feel or see. Okay, you get a rash on your arm, there are ways to take care of it. Well, same thing's happening in the body, because the circulation and the oxygen and the nutrition is not getting there. So these cells start to get weak, and the weaker they get, the more pain they're in, which causes you to be in pain. So as we're breathing in, let's just we'll do one breath, actually. We'll just breathe in through the nose. Nice, long, slow, deep breath. Involve the diaphragm. It's a belly breath. That's what babies do. They have belly breaths when they're born. That's how we're supposed to keep going. But through stress and education, which pulls us away from our natural state of being and pulls us up here instead of in the heart, we start to lose touch with the body, because the body's talking to us 24 hours a day. All right. So when we take that breath, just a nice, long, slow breath in through the nose, nice belly breath. You can feel those ribs expand, and we hold, and then we exhale through the mouth. The importance of that is that we exhale longer than we inhale. So we can do a nice, long, deep breath in, but we want to exhale. So let's say we breathed in to a count of 4. We want to breathe out to a count of 6 or 7, because the exhale turns on the parasympathetic, which is rest, digest, and heal. And if we're short on both, we're breathing through the mouth. I saw a person yesterday. I mean, man, I would love to work with her. She just the walk, her body is in total panic, total fight or flight. And because it is in that, stress hormones are being produced, and all kinds of things are going on in the body neurologically that's stealing your health. So as you learn to breathe, and you breathe properly, and you're getting rid of 70% of your toxins in your body, because through your breath, within 10 minutes, you can have yourself in a full sweat. And that is powerful. That's how powerful the breath is. Your first one is in. It turned on your electrical system when you came out of the womb. and you took that first breath, it turned on the whole system. And the last breath is out because it turns off the system. And the reason it turns it off is there's not enough magnetic charge in the cells to hold the energy, because you are not your body. You are the energy within your body. And that energy needs to be replenished. It needs to be replaced every day. And the whole body is just a processing factory machine. So as we get more air, we get more nutrients and hydration, proper hydration in the body. It will produce more energy, more power, and it'll keep those cells healthy. But in today's food market, we're having difficulty getting really good food. You know, they're spraying everything, and they're spraying the air, and they're taking the health of the earth away. All our farmland, about 90% or maybe higher of our farmland, is dead soil. And it was only 4 inches thick to begin with. So we have to replenish the earth. And as the soil dies, it starts producing oxygen. So we're having less and less oxygen in the air, and they're cutting down the lungs of the earth. So I don't know who's in charge of all that stuff, but we as individuals need to take care of ourselves by learning how to breathe, how to move, how to rest. It's rest, digest, and heal. It's not run 26 miles, rest, digest, and heal. No, that puts you in fight or flight because you're low on oxygen. Acids are building in the body. And if you don't have enough lymphatic ability to disperse it as fast as you're creating it, you're going to get aches and pains. It's going to hurt. That's lactic acid building in the muscles. We see it all the time in running and fighting and all these different sports events that are around. Is when their mouth opens, they start to slow down because they're bringing in less oxygen. The body's not able to absorb enough oxygen to maintain its health. And because of that, you have more carbon dioxide in your body, and that produces acid. So that's what we're doing. We're eliminating carbon dioxide and acids out of our body just by breathing, if we breathe properly. And when you exhale, that's the healing sound for the heart. So there are many sounds that we can create, with our instrument, which is our voice, that will help the body heal in different areas. Just put your hand on your throat and go, and feel all those cells shaking around your voice box, your thyroid, your parathyroid. And it goes right through to the back. So those who still have tonsils, who weren't in the assembly line of tonsil removal, which is part of your lymphatic system when you was a kid, like I was, I mean, they were just running them through. And then it was gastric bypass. I guess that's what they call it. But anyway, they operate on your stomach and they put a rubber band around it, or they make it smaller. Well, that's not helping you. Yeah, you lose weight. I know somebody that was very heavy, and they had that done, and they went right down, and all they could eat was a cherry, and they were full. But over time, they just kept eating more and more because the addiction to food had not been dealt with. All they did was make the stomach smaller. And as they ate and they kept eating and kept eating to feed that mental addiction to the food, all of a sudden their stomach started to get bigger and they were eating more and more, and they put all the weight back on. Unless we are committed to ourselves. Matter of fact, I mentioned this the other day. I just finished a 5-day cleanse with the Master Cleanse. And if you cheat during that time, let's say you're with a group. I wasn't, but let's say you're with a group of people. And you say, oh my God, I cheated. You didn't cheat on them, you cheated on yourself. And that's what's important is if you're going to be committed to do something, then, and you're willing to cheat on yourself, you can have a hard time in life because we are it. Everything else out there is not part of us. We may think it is, but it isn't. And I mentioned this the other day. Most apples that you buy right now in a store are 1 year old. 1 year old. And this is what a peel is doing. They spray an apple and it has proper hydration, has nutrition, has enzymes, electrolytes, and it's self-digesting. When they spray a peel on there, it cannot self-digest. So that lasts longer. I think there's one called the Alaskan apple or something, but you can cut it and leave it on the counter. And it won't turn brown because it's not self-digesting. It's paralyzed the digestive ability. And that's what Ozempic does. Ozempic has, it's a chemical that's probably synthetic now because they have to have a patent, right? But it's one aspect of, and it comes from a Gia monster, which is a poison. It's a venom. And it's a big lizard. And what it does is it causes the digestive system to slow down. And there are hundreds of thousands of people that can't eat anymore because their whole digestive system is paralyzed from this. And once you're on it, according to them, you can't get off of it. Now, I find that hard to believe, but there's got to be a way. If there's a way in, there's a way out because we live in duality. And anytime somebody tells you, like, I've had people say, doctors tell their patients, oh, you don't have the detox gene. There is no detox gene. So if your doctor tells you that, get up and run. And I'm saying this more and more about different aspects of our life. And when we go in there and they tell us all this crap, that's not true. But because we've been educated by the system that keeps us sick in the name of health, we think they're actually helping us. And all you can do is look around. Chronic disease or chronic dis-ease is at an all-time high. And all it is a frequency. And what controls your frequency in your body? Your breath. You want to change your frequency? Start breathing. Start learning how to breathe. They're in all my videos. All different kinds of breaths. Pick the ones you like and do that. People that have a hard time going to sleep, it's because their mind is so busy. They can't shut it off. Well, when you lay down, say, it's time that we go to sleep. Because I've had insomnia from businesses where there was so much going on, I just couldn't sleep. And finally, I said, you know what? This is my life. And I'm going to do what I want. I don't care if other people like it or not. I'm going to have to because I'm exhausted and I still have to go to work the next day and create and build and paint and do all the things that you have to do as a sign painter in business. So I had to change my breathing because I was in fight or flight all the time. So my breathing shifted when I gave my body permission. Once I said that, this is my life. This is my body. And I want to do the best I can for the people around me. And in order to do that, I have to get it under control. So if you do 10 breaths where you breathe in like we just did, hold at the top, exhale longer than you inhaled. Your body will go into rest, digest, and heal, and you'll go right to sleep. And you'll sleep all night. Part of it is there's not enough oxygen in your body, and sleep is a low oxygen event. So you have to have oxygen in your body. And as it slows down, it starts to go into rest, digest, and heal. I mean, these are simple things, but they're so important. And to be dedicated to what you actually want. And everything around us, television, the media, they're always showing us, like these big, massive burgers and all these foods. They're more comfort foods, and they're factory foods. And those factory foods do not have a lot in them that will help us regenerate ourselves properly. And if we're not regenerating ourselves properly through proper hydration, nutrition, oxygen, movement, rest, movement, not exercise, movement, rest, grounding to the earth, because that changes our whole neurological system, grounding to the earth. And if you just touch a tree, you're in your bare feet and you touch a tree, the air is giving off oxygen and is breathing in carbon dioxide, which we give off, right? So we're the other half of their lungs and they're the other half of ours. But you're completing a circuit. You're grounding yourself to that tree and you're grounded to the earth, and that's a loop. And there's massive strength in that. Trees give off an electromagnetic field. Anything that's alive gives off an electromagnetic field. And you can feel it. That's why sometimes when you see some dogs, you go, oh, I love that dog. And then you see another dog and you're like, I'm not going anywhere near that dog. That's energy. That's talking to you. And we feel it. But we're not paying attention to what we feel. We're just going away like, oh, I don't want to go near that dog or animal, whatever it is, right? And most of that is lack of trust. And people who act like that dog have a lack of trust. There's a fear inside them. And that has to do with our breathing. Breath is everything in your life. You cannot be here without it. You take everything that supports life, and oxygen is one of those, and you cut your oxygen off, you only be here for a few minutes. And then you're off to another world. You're going to transition into another thing because your body has no life left in it. Water is next. That's the second. And the third we think is food, but it's not. It's sleep. Sleep deprivation is how they torture people. And if we get tired, we get so disoriented, which is what's happening. Talk about cataracts. The blue light coming from this phone is causing cataracts. And it does it because the blue light also upsets your melatonin, serotonin production. But the light going in is so strong, and we're so close to it, that the body automatically, because it's brilliant, starts to build a cataract over the eye to cut the blue light down, to cut it, to lower it, because the body's trying to save itself. So that's why cataracts are at an all-time high.
Okay, so now you talk about cataracts. So I have a question because cataracts was there before there was blue light.
Yes, well, it's a dietary thing too.
Yeah, because Dr.
But
Morse says it's high cholesterol.
yes, but what's causing it?
Yeah,
Stress,
of course. But we always go to the cause.
right?
Now you
Stress
because
and blue.
I do have cataracts in my right eye,
Uh-huh.
And I do have glasses that block that light. But
Yes.
I look on my phone, which I work a lot on my phone. I take my
Right.
glasses off and then always forget to get the special get the special glasses that block that blue light. But yeah, because I know cataracts has been around forever, and even in areas where nobody has a phone or a computer. So, and okay, dietary too, and it
But
just
that blue
light
light comes from the
energy.
sun too.
Okay.
So if we're outside a lot of people get cataracts because they're outside a lot and they're not blocking the blue light. Now, that also brings us to sunglasses. The darker the sunglasses, the more it's changing the light coming into the eye during the day, and it upsets your melatonin, serotonin production also. So it's almost like a catch-22, you know. We can be outside in the shade, spend some time in the sun, go back in the shade, uh, but that blue light, and that's what the glasses are doing. They're canceling that blue light because the blue light is starting to affect the cells in the eye, and it's going in, and the body is trying to protect itself, so it's making a lens, a screen, to block the blue light from coming in. And it blocks the other light too. I mean, it's not just the blue. You know, you can't see as well. So yes, and cholesterol, but that's usually from stress and bad diet also. So that's what I mean when I say we have to dedicate ourselves to ourselves. We're not our body, we're the energy in it. But we just lost touch with everything, with our body, with, you know, and opening the 6 lymphatic gates. I mean, nobody's even really heard of that. And the blood pressure about, you know, if you take a garden hose and there's no sprayer on it, it's just running out the end, and you put your thumb over it, it causes more pressure because you're making the hole smaller. Well, your circulatory system is a closed system. So what happens is, as the pressure starts to clamp down on that, the hole gets smaller and your blood pressure goes up. So that's causing stress within the body. Well, as you do things like the master cleanse, fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables too, although they're being sprayed with really weird stuff now, uh,
We're
like a
all being
peel.
we're all being sprayed, Gary.
Yeah,
My
the
husband
appeal.
the experience 2 days ago. He was in a town, and he said there was a helicopter right above me, and he was in town. There was a helicopter right above him spraying stuff. He could feel it.
Wow.
That is just too crazy, and
I
we
want to
don't even
be,
know what it is.
yeah. So they've kind of renamed appeal.
Oh, really?
Uh, yeah. Um, I'm going to do an article on it. Uh, I didn't write it down. It's I can't remember the name of it. I just found out about it a few minutes ago. So I'm going to do an article about it and where it actually comes from and what it's made from, and that'll trip you up. And they say you can't wash it off. I don't know. I again, we're in duality. If you can put it on, it's probably going to take something, but it can be taken off. Or you peel it and just eat around the inside, like an apple or something like that. But most apples are a year old. And the grapes are the same way. No, because they're not spraying grapes. I'm going to give a list of what they're spraying right now with that. And supposedly, when fruit gets old, that's when they spray it because it will kill the digestive system, just like Ozempic kills your digestive system. They're saying it slows it down. Well, that is true. It does slow it down. But the slower it goes, the it starts to accumulate. So you don't want to eat because it's just sitting in your stomach. And then it starts to ferment and do all kinds of things. And people, it's hundreds of thousands that have paralyzed stomachs whenever they eat. They're just vomiting.
Hey,
Uh,
hi, baby.
yeah. What?
Sarah, did you want to say something?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking to my cat.
Oh,
No, you
She
are
was
not.
sitting right there. I was like, beep,
uh,
beep, beep.
you wanted to share that with us, right? That's why you.
Yeah. That's funny. Is I didn't even take it off mute. So yeah, she's wanted to say hello too. Well, I will say something like I never wear sunglasses, and I was an avid sunglass wearer a few years ago. I could barely go outside without them, and I just slowly started transitioning to not wearing them. And that was the
yeah.
same exact time when I got on orange juice, and I was on it. I mean, we did orange juice for breakfast and lunch. Um, I don't know if it was like 8 months, and then we were off of it again. Then we did for 6 months, and I really, really miss it. And if it wasn't so expensive, I would go back to it. But between my husband and I, it was almost $90 a week. And then my mom was on it too, and I think hers was somewhere around like $40 or something a week. But in the grand scheme, it's not that much. But it was also going and getting stuff too. But yeah, so I don't wear sunglasses at all, and I don't I don't burn at all anymore. And I'm not like dark skin or anything. I'm pretty fair skin. I have blonde hair. Um, I have green eyes that I hope are transitioning to blue. But yeah, so I don't burn or anything from the sun when I have sunglasses on, or when I don't wear my sunglasses. And again, I'm always outside. Like I'm outside every single day, all day, summer, winter, whatever, with animals at the barn and stuff. Um, but yeah, the sun doesn't bother me either. On even on bright days, I don't suntan. Like I don't lay out or anything like that. I'm constantly moving around, so maybe that's a difference. But when we go to amusement parks or anything, I never take my sunglasses. There is one time I will wear sunglasses or even a glass of some sort, even if it's a clear glass, and that's when I ride my motorcycle.
Yeah.
So I do wear those I do have a helmet, but in the summer it's hot. So I wear eye protection basically. And depending on what's available, I just grab the glasses and go.
Yeah, but
And
that's more not to block out the sun, but more to protect your eyes of all the stuff in the air that can blow in. I always
That
wear,
is
well,
correct.
I wear glasses anyway, but yeah, I always had a helmet with a visor, so eyes
Yeah.
were protected. I noticed that because I was always wearing sunglasses because I have these really cool looking glasses.
Mm.
hmm
And mine were actually ones that I had in my 20s, and I have prescription glasses, so I had put those in there too. And just a cool looking one. Well, it's sailing in the car, and it hasn't been touched for probably 5 years, for as long as I've been on high fruit. So no need for it at all. Not with any light, I feel a need for sunglasses. Okay,
Right.
Gary, I have another question about the breathing as the most important one to get into health. What would you suggest to someone who cannot take a deep breath, who is very short of breath?
hmm
And one of my clients has cancer, and she has that problem, and not being able to take a deep breath. What would we do then?
Okay. Do you know where the cancer is?
Bone and lung?
Bone and lung. Uh, I definitely start on the master cleanse. Uh, Dr. Morse's lung formulas. Uh, if they can't get afford that, mullein, the herb mullein, that's for lungs. Uh, Start slowly. The one that I would do is where you pretend there's a ball, and I have this in a lot of my videos. There's a ball on your chest, and when you exhale, you go and you put your head down, pretend that ball is there, and you're holding it with your chin, and inhale through the nose. And you want to try to keep your neck straight. Now, I understand that there is an issue with the amount of breath you can take in. Only use that amount. You know what I mean? If that's all you can do, that's what you do. And you're starting from a very uh, hmm, You're starting from a position that won't allow you to take that breath. So working the ribs, I wonder how the rib cage is opening and closing, because your lungs don't breathe. They're just a sac. It's your body's ability to expand and contract that allows the more oxygen to get in the body. So if the ribs are really tight, that's why they call it a rib cage, because they're around everything. So you want to, even if you're not breathing, flex your body, flex your chest, and breathe what you can. And over time, that will start to loosen up. And I've mentioned this a lot in my videos. Master Shani Lee had a woman sent to him that had, she was scheduled for a double lung transplant. And he taught her that one thing where you pretend there's a ball here. Okay. And there's their neck injury here because C3, 4, and 5 is connected to your diaphragm, and it's the automatic part of your breathing. But we want to manually override that and start breathing through the nose and create that nitric oxide, which will help things relax and open up. Cleavers is definitely one that I would do, or Dr. Morse's lymphatic formulas, tinctures, because you got to get that lymphatic system to open up. Cancer is a lymphoma, and lymphomas live in the lymphatic system, not in the blood. The blood is the kitchen, as Dr. Morse has taught us, and the lymphatic system is the bathroom. Well, the problem's not in the kitchen, and that's where they're doing all the work. The problem is in the bathroom. So really ripe fruits, berries, melons. And if you can't handle that, then you could go to green smoothies. But you want to pick things that are either pre-digested or almost completely digested, like the Master Cleanse. So when you're drinking it, that when you eat a meal, most of your energy is going to digest the food. When you drink the Master Cleanse or a fruit smoothie or a green smoothie, they're pre-digested. So there's less energy going to digest those. They're easily absorbed into the tissue. And they're raising the vibration because, and I mention this all the time, this is divine energy right here, let's say. And your energy, when it lowers, doesn't mean you have it. You'll be susceptible to things like cold and flu and fibromyalgia and Hashimoto's and Parkinson's and MS and cancer. These are all frequencies. All of them are frequencies. And as we elevate our frequency through breath, proper hydration, nutrition, and oxygen, these can no longer exist. Your body's energy has lowered to a point where these are starting to show up. So as you elevate your energy, they can no longer exist in your body. So when Cheney Lee taught that woman how to do this, in 3 months, she went back to the Mayo Clinic. It was a Mayo Clinic that sent her to him. And she was scheduled for a double lung transplant. In 3 months of doing that, and she got up to 45 minutes a day doing that simple move, her lungs were completely clear. There was nothing wrong with them at all. Zero, nada, nothing. And she got a clean bill of health and went home. No surgeries, no drugs, no nothing.
Isn't it amazing what the body can do?
Yeah, it's self-cleaning, self-healing, self-replicating. It regenerates itself, but it has to have proper hydration, nutrition, oxygen, movement, rest, grounding to the earth, and a great story. That's the seventh thing, is a story that says, I may be sick now, but my body's getting stronger every day. My mind's getting clearer. My heart is opening more every day to enjoy this beautiful place that we have been placed right here on earth. And everything that we need to heal it is it right around us. But we've been so sideswiped, mentally programmed to look outside ourselves in a non-organic, in a synthetic world, that we don't realize everything is right at our fingertips. And once we grasp that and we go back to real food that nature provides, you think that when a animal wakes up on Monday morning between 7:30 and 9, they have heart attacks? Because we do. Most heart attacks are between 7:30 and 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday. I mean, that's quite a that's quite a thing, but it shows you the world that we have created and how toxic that it is, even in the work environment. And you may start a job and think it's the greatest thing in the world, and in 6 months you can't wait to get out of there. There are many people who live that life, and it's not just that job, it's everywhere they go and everything they do. And very few of us are immune to that particular thing. It's just not going to happen until we change, we shift our energy. And the best way to do that is through hydration, nutrition, oxygen, changing our story.
Now you mentioned the in order of importance, that was one is bread, the second one was water, the third one sleep, the fourth one food, and then what was in between that and a great story?
Grounding to the earth.
So there are
wait a minute. I never went beyond that. I never went to food. Food is fourth, but sleep is really, really important.
That became that, because I was thinking, if you have like in order, the last one, the great story, I think I would start with the great story, because when you create the great story, it's easier to do all the rest.
Well, it's true, as long as you're breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While you're breathing, we create a great story.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can create a great story about breathing. Do you see what I mean? Because that's something that we've lost, is we've lost touch with our physical being. We don't even feel our breath go into our body anymore.
No.
And we can send it anywhere in the body that we want to send it, because energy flows where attention goes. So if your focus is on this finger and you breathe, you can breathe energy right into that finger. And if it's going to be healing energy, or if it's going to be toxic energy can't be those things. Only through the mind can they be. The mind can corrupt all kinds of things, but energy is energy. When they set off a nuclear bomb, energy does not move. It doesn't. Everything flows through it. It's an amazing thing. They've learned how to harness some of it, but they don't know what it is. Like gravity. They don't know what gravity is. They know they've given it a name, and and there's a duality there. We've been taught through our whole life that gravity holds us to the earth by pulling us down. Well, there's another whole theory that gravity is up here and is pushing us down. Do you care? I don't. I could care less. I just know this is where I am. It's like, is the world round or flat, or to me, is it square, rectangle? It doesn't matter. All that matters is the piece I'm standing on. Will it support me? And will it feed me? And will it give me hydration? Those are the things that really matter. All this other stuff is just distraction. And people are running around telling all these stories and getting mad at each other because Yeah, well, the world is this and the world is that. I don't care.
No, and
I care about the fruit I hold in my hand.
I think when we learn how much we have been lied to through in life, it is difficult to take that. But that's not only about, what the earth is about, it's also how we have been lied about our own bodies and our own health and even our own minds.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we all do the best we can. We get the information. I know that people who are not feeling well are searching everywhere for, the healing and then try to combine all kinds of different things, but never get to the point what health really is, what your body can and cannot do. Well, it can, yeah, okay. And it's I learned to just stick with one thing in the learning from you about the breath. I did not know. I knew since my teens, the meditations, the deep breathing, and how important it was. Nobody told me why it was so important. So it's good to hear that. And I'm
Yeah,
not
and
embarrassed to say that I am still learning. I'm always learning.
me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I
You know,
we had at Sarah, I don't know if you want to say something about it before I move on to something else.
Nope, I'm always learning too. That's why I'm on here. Not only do I learn from you all, but I learn
Okay.
from,
yeah.
people that call in too. So
Yeah. We had twice on our podcast a gentleman from Brazil, and his name is Lucas Laquintini. I love that name, so beautiful. And he wrote several books and wrote a little book about fasting, foundation of health, his own experiences. He writes on his Facebook quite often, almost daily. He has a few other books out. He now finally has his books on his own website, which is just his name. But he wrote an essay, and I think when he was on the podcast, we talked about that. But I have it here in front of me, and that was called Self-Empowerment Manifesto. It's only, I think, 3 pages. And what I did was I put every paragraph in for a day. So it is 21 paragraphs, so 21 days, and you can use that to self-empower. Now, I will read you the first one. So that would be day one, where he starts with, and I think it fits with the topic of today. And oh, by the way, you can buy these. I don't know if he will have that on his website, but and I paid like $3 for it. Um, the first one is I take responsibility for everything that happens in my life. This means I am never a victim. I never blame anyone, and I never make excuses. Pleasant or unpleasant, I never react unconsciously to what unfolds around me. I am able to feel deeply, but I do not allow myself to be ruled by emotions. Instead, I choose to respond to the events of the world in the most harmonious, constructive, and beneficial way possible. So that was the day one. I only read that one. Maybe I read another one next week.
Hmm.
Or people have to buy his self-empowerment manifesto essay. But I found it very beautiful. He is an amazing writer. And do you remember when he was on, Sarah?
I do. And is he, okay, I was getting him confused with the guy who wrote the book about the germ theory too. But yes, I remember Luca. Yeah, he does write amazing things and he is very active on Facebook.
Yeah. And yeah, he's easy to talk with you. It's a very beautiful person.
Hmm.
And I was just typing it in, his name, La Quintini, with an E, that's it. And you can find him easily on Facebook. And I think he has been doing some videos too, so maybe, well, but that will show on his Facebook page. But it's a pleasure to always read his writings. And I have all of his books, of course. So, okay, that was that. I want to share what I actually started with about Ariel Bellozo. And I will type his name in here too, if I have it correctly, because that would help a lot of people with what am I going to eat. So I will do a screen share if I can find it right away this time. Okay, I think it is sharing now.
Yep.
Can you guys see it?
Yep. Yep, I can see it.
Okay, this is about how to transition to a healthy raw feed and diet. And he says it can be easy or difficult according to the type of knowledge you acquire. The first thing that you should do is to be clear about what you want. Do you want to simply improve your diet? Do you want to transition to a 100% raw food diet? Do you want to transition to a 70% raw food diet? Now, I just heard Dr. Morse say in one of his videos that he is not all raw, and but he said you as a maintenance diet. I mean, we all know that we have to go to high fruit if we want to heal, but as a maintenance diet, like 80% raw, high fruit, and 20% cooked, or not necessarily cooked, but steamed veggies. And this is where the mucusless diet that I always promote, you could say, comes in. So he said, because people think I have to do this for the rest of my life. If you can do raw, yes, that would be great. And I've done all raw for, I think the longest was 7 months. And then I had some cooked. So I do eat cooked food once in a while. Okay, he mentioned be clear first so you're not constantly focusing on food and forgetting about the other important aspects of your health and your life. There are a lot of misconceptions and lies about the proper transition to a raw food diet. First of all, simply adding good foods to your diet, like fresh juices and smoothies, won't have a big influence on your health unless you first work on removing the foods that are harming you the most. In other words, it doesn't matter if you add all that good stuff to your diet, your health will be directly influenced by the bad stuff you still consume. So here are the first step you should consider taking. It is going plant-based. I mean, yeah. Going plant-based can be one of the easiest things in the world to achieve. I literally did it almost overnight. So did I. Leaving the ethical issue aside, which was actually a big thing for me, animal products can contain enormous amount of fat, which is not good for you. And then we don't even talk about all the proteins that are actually harming your kidneys. It is also important to point out that there is no essential nutrient in meat or dairy, and even grains or legumes for that matter, which is not also available in fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and in a form that is easier to digest. Choose whole foods. Natural whole foods are the type of food that you eat in its natural state. In other words, it hasn't been tampered with in any way, has not been cooked, refined, pickled, bottled, preserved, sweetened, flavored, processed, canned, or mixed. I couldn't do that in one breath. Gotta work on that breathing, Gary.
Yeah.
You will get the most benefit by avoiding eating processed or refined foods and concentrating on eating whole foods in their natural state. Any kind of tampering with food, including cooking, is detrimental to its quality. He is really big on the reduced fat intake, so that's good. Because of their complexity, fatty foods are the most difficult foods to digest. Fat is stored in our bodies as body fat, and when eaten in excess, fat accumulates along the arterial walls. The most progressive health experts and most credible research done in the world, such as those conducted by T. Colin Campbell and features in the China study, have suggested we keep the fat levels below 50% of percentage of calories. Well, actually, Dr. Morse likes to see it less than that. The China study is absolutely, yeah, you got to read that. It's very interesting. Health declines significantly on practically every level when fat consumption rises above the mid-teens. Consuming too much fat will thicken the blood, causing the red blood cells to clump together so they cannot deliver oxygen to the cells. A high-fat diet not only destroys your health, but it also ages you. You will notice that after you begin removing the bad stuff from your diet, you will start getting healthier, and then it becomes much easier to increase the amount of raw food you eat. As long as you eat low-fat, whole food, plant-based diet, and you eat plenty of fresh fruit in the meantime, it doesn't really matter what percentage of raw food you consume overall in the beginning. Remember, the concept of eating a raw food diet isn't about racing towards 100% raw. Instead, it is about gradually giving your body the fuel it needs to function properly while phasing out junk food. As the natural health saying goes, you don't get healthy because of the food you eat, you get healthy because of the food you don't eat. While it might be somewhat exaggerated, it's a helpful mindset to adopt. Well, he has a little bit more, but his name is Ariel, and let me see if I can open his site here. And he has like 365 days of menus, recipe, and he even does coaching. But it is not Dr. Morse based, but I feel that he is very helpful, and I have sent a lot of my clients to his recipe books just to help them out to get on a better lifestyle, and especially for if you have a family, because people often feel that if it's just one person in the family who wants to detox and the rest is like, no, not going to happen, then at least we can start with healthier options. And I always loved cooking. I could make the most creative things almost out of nothing. It was always fun to do. The less I had in the pantry, the more creative I got. So when I stopped with cooked food and going on a raw diet, I actually did the same thing. But for me, that included too much fat. So that was the first thing I had to take out: the nuts, the seeds, the avocado, the coconuts. That was it for me, what I should not eat and what is causing me issues when I do. And that is the high fat, but also the high proteins that affect your kidneys. So that kind of concludes this part. Gary or Sarah, if you have any questions about it, then let me know. You can see his website is nutritionraw.com. And I will see if I can get him on the podcast sometime. It would be nice.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Yeah.
It would be nice to talk to him again. And when I'm talking about fat with people, like what I do with my husband and stuff, was when we were really trying to combat the pre-diabetic diagnosis that he had received, he went down to like 10 grams of fat a day, and that was all that he was taking in, and we saw drastic improvements of that. And then for him to kind of maintain, he does hover right around probably 20 grams up to 25 grams, and on bad days I think he'll hit maybe 30. But yeah, the 50%, I mean, I'm definitely really more into like the low fat to no fat.
Yeah. What I would say about that is that's a nice stepping stone to step down to 50%. And then as you start to feel better, keep dropping it down till you get down to that 20 or 30%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's very sneaky too. Check your sauces, your condiments, your that Chick-fil-A sauces. That everybody likes that Chick-fil-A sauce for their stuff. That
I've never
stuff
had Chick-fil-A.
It's 30 grams of fat per little tiny container. I was like, oh my gosh. So when we discovered that for him, I couldn't believe it. So your sauces are out of this world. And fast food restaurant salads, I don't know where they put the fat. Do they dip each leaf in oil before they give it to you? I have no idea, but
Oh, a little
they're
canola
getting
oil here
fatty
and there.
too.
Yeah. And the fast food places dip their lettuce in sugar water.
Oh, you think
So
maybe
that,
sugar and oil water too?
yeah, it could be some
Yeah.
type of water soluble oil. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
So
I was
that
even blown away at how fatty the salads were.
oh
I
yeah,
was like, oh my gosh, it's lettuce.
yeah. Well, it used to be lettuce, and now it's
Yeah,
fat.
yeah, exactly.
And
So always best to eat at home if you can.
yeah, and you really got to be careful how you got to make sure that you're washing your food before you eat it. Uh, but yeah, there are so many crazy things going on in the world right now because science is it's about the health of the bottom line when it comes to corporations, not your health. And that's what we have to remember when we're shopping and we're buying food. You know, and they don't have to put anything in the food to contaminate it. All they have to do is put it on the news that they did, and they show one person doing something, and we automatically think that all the food is being done that way. Now, I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying we don't know, but our story is carrying us through that. So to back our story up, when there was something that you was reading there, Toni, that made me think of that. Okay, we'll make ourselves sick thinking there's something wrong with the food, and then they'll expose that. And this one person had this, and this other person had a similar situation, and then that's a story, and it's continuing on through the media and through science, and people get sick even if they don't have that, even if they're not being exposed to that. Uh, I guess vitamin D has been completely taken off the table by science. They know all there is to know about vitamin D and everything, and it doesn't help with anything according to science. So they're taking it off the shelf, and not well. They never promoted it anyway, but they're really not going to promote it now. They're going to demote it. Uh, so that people will get away from vitamin D and K2 and all these different things that will help your body heal, because the only thing that can heal is gasoline turned into medicine, or oil turned into medicine on their side of the aisle. And that's why everybody's getting sick. If you go to a doctor and he doesn't know what chronic disease is, you want to run. You want to run from that person because they've been so indoctrinated by the system. All they know is this pill and that pill, and they're not even studying those pills. The salespeople come in and tell them what it's for, and they don't do any research on it. And their doctors are paid by the volume of patients they see. It used to be when you went to the doctor, he spent some time with you. The average visit right now is 7 minutes, and you've got a prescription and you're out the door. So every 7 minutes, people are being pushed through these doctor's offices. My well, it's my ex-girlfriend, but she's a sweetheart. Um, she went to a doctor for a physical. She didn't even have to take clothes off. The visit was 7 minutes. Think about that. What are you going to learn in 7 minutes about a person who's having an issue? She just went in for a regular physical. I mean, but the system is broken, and the only ones that can fix it are the people by waking up and going, this isn't right. If you stop going to doctors, like if everybody stopped going to doctors, the whole system would completely change. It's going to change anyway, because there's people in power right now that are going to change that system and make it a healthier place so that our bodies can heal and our children can grow up with life and liveliness and enthusiasm and curiosity, because these are the things that keep us empowered within ourselves. If you lose your curiosity about what's happening in your body is the world. That world out there is other than nature, is synthetic. And we're being taught that it's the only way to take care of ourselves, and it's not. And one thing I want to say about sunglasses is, like, when I grew up in Maine, you don't have to wear sunglasses. Like in Alaska, they don't have sunglasses. They have these pieces of wood that they make, and they have a little tiny hole in them, because you can be snowblind from the reflection off the snow, or the reflection off the water, or the reflection off a mirror, because it's too intense for the eye. So you need to block that somehow. But I think the Alaskans have it right when they make these very cool wooden shaped glasses that go over, and there's just two holes in it, and they can see out, but it cuts the light way down so that it's not burning their eyeballs out, basically. And that's what's happening with the blue from the cell phone. When they take a cataract out, they put a lens in, right? You know what that lens blocks? Blue light, so that it won't happen again. There's a bunch of things in that lens, and I'm gonna do a story on that, because it's really important that people understand. And the more time I spend in that story, there's a bunch of stuff I'm working on. So that's why I'm just kind of grazing over it, or, just kind of skimming over the top here. But in future episodes, I'll be able to get into it deeper, because these are the things that matter. When they cut your, like, I think it was Van Gogh, he had cataracts and they cut him out. Well, they didn't have lenses, so they just let his eye heal. And that's why there's so many colors and things in his paintings, because he sees reds and yellows and blues and things, because he sees the UV light. So that's why when he did a haystack, it had all those different colors in it, because that's what he saw. And we're fascinated by it. Like, how did he come up with this? How did he come up with that? Or these swirls, or all this stuff that he did? It's because he had cataracts and they took him out and they didn't put any lenses in. So he saw the world completely different than we did. So there's all kinds of cool things out there, but we have to have our curiosity in place, and we have to stop going to the people that are causing our dis-ease in our body, because they're just frequencies. If a frequency goes like this, and that's how that, say your liver does this, right? And then something comes in and it causes a frequency like this, it's going to disrupt. It's going to cause a dis-ease in that particular part of your body. And it can happen anywhere in the body. And that's what dis-ease is. It's a frequency. It's all it is. When you change the frequency, it goes back to this. And the best way to do that is live fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables, but fruits, berries, melons first, because you're going to get your energy up. They're the highest form of energy. And you want to get your energy mixed in your body. That's breath. Get that diaphragm moving up and down. Help the heart relax. When the diaphragm comes back up, it actually helps the heart pump blood. Even though the heart is really a vortex, if you stretch it out, it's one big long muscle, and it's folded, and what it does is it creates a vortex inside it. Just like your nose creates a vortex. The air goes into the lungs and it's charged through that vortex. Well, as you're breathing less and less, there's less and less energy going into the lungs, which is less going into the blood, and it can't feed the cells properly, and they get weaker. And it causes a disruption, a dis-ease in throughout the whole body.
Yeah, and this is information that we will never learn from any doctor. And with their 7 minutes, I mean, you know, we often spend with a consultation. I have spent up to 2.5 hours with someone, and because your health is important, and it's not about the money, but probably for
Right.
them, for us, it's definitely not. And yeah, it's I think that we can wake up a lot of people, help a lot of people, and it's just like a ripple effect. And I'm getting referrals now because people see what they are doing is helping, so they want to help another person. So it all works out. I have to admit I have to go. So we are going to close up for today.
All right.
And yeah, it was enlightening as always with you, Gary.
Well, thank you. I do my best. I try to come up with new stuff each week, but you know,
Yeah. I sometimes I feel like, my God, we are constantly repeating and repeating it, but then I get messages from people how much they got out of it, and it was like, well, you know, maybe one video didn't quite click with it, or you didn't get that information that you were looking for, and maybe in the next video you do. And
It's the one true story, Toni.
yeah,
It's the truth. We're broken records because it
Right.
doesn't change. Nothing like changes. Like the base of it is your body is the one that heals itself. You just get out of the way. And fruits, berries, and melons help with that.
Yeah.
So
Dr. Morse talks about that all the time.
Yeah.
It sounds like a broken record.
That's right. And Gary, I do learn so much from you as well as Toni. And thank you both so much for always having me on with you all.
We love having you here.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to do it without you.
Right.
Well, thank you.
We
Miss
need your
Katie today.
energy. Yeah.
Yes. Hopefully we get to talk to Miss Katie next week.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Okay.
So thank you guys.
Thank you all.
Love you all. Till the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.